Hi everybody. Alright, welcome back to this channel, and we're gonna review another flight that another one of my previous flights that I did. So this flight was a interesting one. We were trying to basically figure out whether or not we were gonna fly or not, but we ended up choosing to fly. As you'll see, it was a bit cloudy, but the clouds weren't low enough where I couldn't do visual flight rules, VFR. And so as we were going through, eventually, given the conditions, we kind of had to cut this flight short because the clouds were just starting to get too thick, and it was also drizzling that day. So it was my first time having to deal with a little bit of light rain while flying. But overall, it was a good experience. So hopefully today, again, similar thing. It's just going to be a lot of touch and go practice, staying in the pattern, working on landings, trying to get that flare round out, down, pat. Also continue to work on radio calls in preparation for stage 1 solo as well. This is another one of the previous flights that I did. My instructor this time with me today is Humberto. He's one of my favorite instructors. He did a real good job with my slow flights and descents and steep turns and those types of things today. And so without further ado, let's start it off.
Making sure it's not the brake.
What was that transition?
So only at the bottom one.
Flight Chat 353, it's the Texoma for departure, Eaker transition, that's Echo, Alpha,
Pull
Kilo,
back
Echo,
on
Romeo
the throttle
transition,
as we apply
direct
brakes.
to D-line intersection, then S-file.
So that's another interesting thing that he's pointing out there. Like with me, especially earlier on, when you're taxiing, basically maneuvering the plane on the ground, you have to do it with your feet. What's interesting is that the lower portion of the rudders is what's controlling your left and right turn, but the upper portion is what's controlling the brake of the left or the right wheel. And so I have a habit of sometimes riding the brakes and putting my feet on the brakes as well, just because a lot of times I'm trying to prepare quickly to stop or whatever, giving way to traffic on the runway. But oftentimes it's just the habit of doing that when, I'm trying to break that. But that's another thing that he pointed out there.
All right, clear to India X-ray Delta on departure, heading 050 vectors for the Texoma 4 Eaker transition D-line as filed, 2,390 minutes after. 124.3 squawk,
Yeah, 1260.
Addison Tower, thrust 554 on Alpha runway 16, requesting VFR to the east.
That's 441, go ahead and enter a midfield left downwind, runway 16 for spacing, traffic is a Gulfstream 8 mile final.
Alright, midfield left downwind 16, thrust 441.
That's 554, Addison Tower, having sequence. 6 number Kilo, turn left Golf, taxi across Alpha into uniform, remains frequency, have a good day.
Golf Alpha uniform with you, 6 more kilo.
From now to Tango Papa, traffic ahead and to your left at 2,000 and 1 mile and trail them, also at 2,000, Skyhawk and Grumman, both eastbound.
Yeah, now we'll just read the takeoff. Flip it. Yeah, before takeoff and then takeoff and climb.
Exterior lights on, throttle full, make sure sat, rotate 60 knots, climb at 70, 80 knots, flaps retract at safe altitude.
Which is typically 200 feet AGL, and that's if we had flaps, but we have 0.
That's 554, remain 16, and line up and wait, traffic 3 mile, final Skyhawk.
Line up and wait, thrust 554, runway 16.
Tower 2 pilot, Skyhawk, November 35170. That's 554, remain 16, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, thrust 554.
From now to Tango Papa,
Typically we want to say the runway number, but that's fine.
So yeah, I'm over here messing up on this. Is that another thing is making sure that, especially on these radio calls, is to say the runways when we're doing all these takeoffs and landing calls. So that's another thing I've got to start working on, but it's my instructor. He's catching it and pointing it out.
We're clear for takeoff now.
Base continue.
We want to make sure we put our heels to the floor and only touch the tabs, so now we'll go full throttle.
441, correction, 1 additional departure prior to you, Cherokee.
Okay.
441.
Make sure you use rudders to maintain center line. Going full power.
West 535, runway 16, clear for takeoff, traffic, 2 mile final skyhawk.
And then we're going to go
16,
straight up on the yoke. So we're not going to turn left or right, but just go straight up with it at 60. There's 60, now rotate.
441, runway 16, clear to land.
16, clear to land, West 441.
And this brick right down here is telling us that we need a little bit of right
Takeoff,
rudder.
traffic holding position prior to you, skyhawk.
So oftentimes when I've been flying, there's like always this phrase that keeps coming up called step on the ball. And so that whenever you're in the cockpit, you have this turn indicator. Sometimes it's like you'll see like the wings of the plane and there's this like sliding ball in a SIG pack, or in the glass cockpit, they have the little 2 triangular bricks. But what basically tends to happen with that is that it will begin to shift to one side or the other, if depending to let you know about your yaw, if you're yawing a little bit to the left or the right. And basically what you need to do is whenever the ball, like for example, drifts to the right, you want to apply the right rudder. Whenever the ball drifts to the left, you want to apply the left. And so typically on takeoffs, the plane will have a tendency due to adverse yaw of drifting a little bit to the left. And during takeoff, we want to stay centered in parallel going up on the runway. So typically what happens, you just always end up applying right rudder. And so that's what he's basically explaining over here.
There you go. Good job. We're keeping the cheese on the cracker there. Got to make sure that we're nice and coordinated. Okay, and there's 1,000 feet. And
Wind 120
500 feet AGL, we can go ahead and turn left and keep the climb coming.
Waiting IFL release, thrust 543.
Hey, what does the weather look like? Would you say it's broken 2,600?
1,600 broken. What's broken?
Broken means 7/8 of the ceiling are covered with the clouds. Overcast means 8 out of 8 of the ceiling. Kind of like slices of pie.
Oh, okay. So yeah, this is broken.
Yeah, broken, overcast. We got a light,
White drizzle.
humps.
Okay.
Not a fear, Papa, park in Romeo, correct?
So we've got.
Yeah, we're going all the way down the south.
Stay between
Not a fear, Papa, Rock. You can turn left, Golf, taxi Romeo via Alpha and Monroe, Golf 1-6. Have a good day.
Right.
Lefty
Yeah,
Golf,
we'll stay at this altitude and we'll be going to Mesquite to do some landings.
17 Sierra, begin
So
to
go ahead and give me
downwind. Number 2 behind us, Phenom, 6 mile left.
110.
That was an interesting little bit of information that he was talking about there. At this point, before we take off, we would have gotten ATIS, right? And then also when we're coming into landing, we get ATIS as well. And part of when you're looking at or listening to whichever one, the METAR that ATIS is providing, and part of it, they give information about the clouds. And so from what I've noticed is usually, I mean, there are others, but the ones that I've seen most commonly have either been like scattered, overcast, broken, or clear. And then they'll usually give like a number beforehand, which trying to let you know what the ceiling is. And the reason why that's important is like for someone like me who's a student pilot, one of the things I like to do is even before I actually go off to fly that day, I'll go to live ATC, listen to the weather, and depending on what they say is the clouds, I'll know if I'm flying that day or not. Now IFR, from what I hear, is a little bit different. Of course, they'll be able to fly through some of these conditions with even if it's really cloudy or foggy. But for someone like me who's still learning with VFR, we don't ever fly on cloudy days. And so this is just enough where we can, as you said, it was like 2,600. So this is just enough because usually we only fly at around between 2,000 and 2,500 because those are our altitudes for departing and returning at the airport that I'm at. But of course, if it was anything lower than that, then I definitely would not be flying.
Number 2, extending descent, beginning descent, extending downwind, number 2, 170.
Before we do that, can we do our cruise check?
Addison Tower, good evening, flex jet 351.
Flex jet 351, Addison Tower, good evening. Runway 16, clear to land, traffic departing Cherokee.
Clear land runway 16, flex jet 351.
Looks good. And fuel pump. Alright, we need to switch to the right, so fuel pump is on. Switch this to the right. Okay.
Okay.
Bit bumpy today.
Yeah. But I can't really see Mesquite.
We got a dragon flight 16,
Well, I
number
can't
235
see Mesquite.
So
Everything out here is starting to get nice and marginal. It's,
Okay.
So this right here at Mesquite as on the 4th, 21.5 Zulu. It's broken to 2600, broken 3300, overcast 3900. It looks to be a little deceiving. Looks like it's actually a little worse than that.
Okay.
For example, this one says overcast 2900. That one I agree with. This one, broken 27. This one over at Redbird says overcast.
Dutch 543, contact departure, safe flight.
Contact departure.
36, broken 28. We'll see. Let's go to Mesquite. I know we would be able to make it back even if we go to Mesquite. But let's go to Mesquite. So let's turn to a heading of 110 and do regular operations as if we were going to Mesquite.
Okay, so we need to get weather from Mesquite, so we need to get their ATIS, right?
Yep.
So to do that would be...
One of the things I'm realizing is a mistake that I'm making, because when we fly, oftentimes the instructor is giving us a pre-flight briefing of what we plan on doing. We're not showing this, but one of the steps in the checklist during the run-up is navigation frequencies. One of the things I'm realizing is I need to have my navigation frequency set in the radio. That avoids having to do all this stuff in the air, which you can see is kind of leads to some task saturation and having to do a whole lot of unnecessary stuff. So that's on me. I'm realizing that that's another big thing that I need to do is make sure I have all my frequencies set in the run-up. It's just part of the checklist.
Since it's close, we can use the mouse option and just go all the way down till we hover it. Keep going down, and that's the airport, and go over to the blue.
I can hear one of my instructors right now, Walter, screaming at me, aviate, navigate, communicate. As you can see, I don't think I've looked up one time this whole time as I'm doing this. Yeah, I need to get a better job of this.
Yep, go up, and right there where it says Mesquite.
Oh, okay.
So we'll go down a little bit more. Right there, and then we'll press enter. And there's Mesquite, and it'll give us information. And if we go back to the map, we go ahead and press direct, enter, enter, and then enter, enter. And it gives us the navigation to it.
Alright, so then the ATIS, though, Mesquite.
Now that we got it in the waypoint, we can use our big knob down here and go one click right, yeah. And then one to the right, there it is. And now we can push in.
Flex jet 351, if able, turn left Foxtrot, stay parked.
Let's sound Foxtrot, we're going to Millionaire, flex jet 351.
Flex jet 351,
Yeah,
roger, taxi,
go down with the big
Alpha,
knob.
monitor ground point 6, have a good day.
To the right.
Monitor ground, flex jet 351, good day.
And then go to
Tower,
AWAS,
Jet
there it
November
is. And now
703
press
Romeo
enter.
Bravo, I'm at Alpha 16.
And you can put it on the actives.
Jet 703
which are
Romeo Bravo,
comp
Aston Tower, waiting after release.
There we go.
Oh, comp.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
sir, you cut out.
There we go.
3 Romeo Bravo.
Pigeon Jet 703 Romeo Bravo, Addison Tower, waiting IFR release.
Yep.
Tango. Mesquite Airport information, Tango 2150 Zulu, wind 160 at 7, visibility 10. Signaling 2,600 broken, 3,300 broken, 3,900 overcast. Temperature 13, 2.6, altimeter 3015, visual approach in use, landing and departing runway 18. NOTAMs, the ILS system out of service, 5G NOTAMs in effect for Mesquite Airport. For information, call flight service. Advise on initial contact, you have Tango.
And so you notice there, like we were talking about earlier with the clouds, there was like 3 of them that he gave there. I think he gave one was 2,600 broken, 3,300 broken, and 3,900 overcast. And so that goes to, it's basically giving us information about the cloud layers and at what altitude they are and what types they are. And so, like I said, there's going to be some basic ones. Like most of the time, you're going to get clear. That's basically anything, I believe, 12,000 feet and below. There's basically no clouds. It's clear. And then in this case, it was 2,600. So 2,600 is basically up until the altitude of 2,600. Once you reach that altitude, the clouds start getting a little bit broken there. And then also 3,300, that the clouds are broken. And then 3,900, it's overcast. So it's just giving you the layers of the altitude of the type of clouds that you're going to be experiencing at that particular airport.
So is that you that put it here?
Yeah.
I was keeping it square, 360.
No, that's what I was thinking about. Let's hit the wipers. And we'll do our first notch of laps below 102. So the 4 white means we're kind of high. So if we want, we can put in a second notch. Yep. And since just like slow flight, we want to pitch that nose down to build that airspeed again. This is what you want.
Slow and steady, it wins the race. Take your time, you got this. Elevation, it's 1 step, 2 step elevation. Keep growing, yeah, just keep on pacing. You're a creator, keep on making, yeah, keep creating.